My Lord and my God, I firmly believe that you are here, that you see me, that you hear me. I adore you with profound reverence. I ask your pardon for my sins and the grace to make this time of prayer fruitful. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me. The Gospel of today's Mass begins with a truly remarkable statement of yours, Lord. We read in St. John, Jesus spoke to them again, saying, I am the light of the world. He who follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. During a recent retreat, the power went out at 7 a.m. No electricity for the entire day. How much we take for granted. The thought of living day after day in darkness makes us shudder. That is what St. Josemaria suggests in this point in the way. Most people have a plane-like vision, stuck to the earth, of two dimensions. When you live a supernatural life, God will give you the third dimension, height, and with it, perspective, weight, and volume. Our faith gives us vastly superior optics, but it does not stop there. Those added dimensions, height, perspective, weight, and volume, call out to us irresistibly, urging us to aim for the stars, for holiness. There is a crucial virtue that helps us to reach for the stars. That is the virtue of magnanimity. Many of the following ideas are based on an excellent book by Edward Sri called The Art of Living. Striving to do great and noble things for others is at the heart of magnanimity. That virtue means greatness of soul. This is the virtue by which man pursues that which is great and honorable, especially for the service of others, even if it is difficult. St. Thomas Aquinas describes it as a, quote, stretching forth of the mind to great things. The magnanimous person seeks to do great acts, things that are deserving of honor. Last week marked 90 years since you, Lord, took up residency in the first tabernacle of Opus Dei. The events leading up to March 31st, 1935, are a masterclass in magnanimity. St. Josemaria had worked for months to establish the student residence that was called with the initials DYA. The very name he chose is a clear sign of his great heart. For the unsuspecting onlooker, those initials meant Derecho y Arquitectura, or Law and Architecture. But for St. Josemaria and his early followers, those initials stood for Dios y Audacia, God and Daring. One of his biographers writes, full of faith and supernatural confidence, Father Josemaria threw himself wholeheartedly into the enterprise, which was far beyond his natural capabilities. Some of the priests who worked with him thought that what he was doing was colossally imprudent. To press ahead with an academy residence, lacking the material means for viability, was, in their view, just plain crazy. In business terms, suicidal. One of them said it was like jumping from a great height without a parachute and saying, God will save me. Josemaria wrote in his diary, haste? It's not haste. It's that Jesus is spurring us on. And in another moment he wrote, let us not be men of narrow vision, immature and short-sighted, without supernatural horizons. The fact is that the horizons that Josemaria opened up were so vast that they could be understood only by those who truly had the virtue of magnanimity. Finally, on March 31st, 1935, St. Josemaria welcomed the new resident, with a capital R, to preside from the very first tabernacle of Opus Dei. He could scarcely contain his joy. Shortly afterwards, he wrote, "Ever since we have had Jesus in the tabernacle of this house, it has been phenomenally noticeable. He came, and our work increased in both range and intensity. The virtue of magnanimity trains us to seek what is best in all aspects of our life." One writer describes magnanimity as a heroic ambition. It is not an ambition that seeks applause or one's own glory or benefit. It is even less about the popular self-improvement culture, or merely being the best I can be, so that I can maximize my potential. A truly magnanimous person aims simply at giving the best of himself for the sake of others. In the words of Edward Sri, "When I think of magnanimity, I think of an inner movement of the soul, a stretching forth toward God and toward whatever great and noble tasks He may be inviting a person to do, fighting against injustices, shouldering important undertakings, serving a pressing need, confronting evils, building something that will serve the church and bless many people." Unfortunately, our culture is put off by this Christian heroic ambition. Instead of lifting our eyes towards doing great and noble deeds with our lives, we are sedated by comfort and pleasure. The incessant distractions and amusements of our age lower our vision for life, dull our pursuit of honorable things, and stifle magnanimity. We instead focus our energies on pursuing what is most enjoyable. As another writer explains, instead of aspiring for excellence in God's goodness, we are taught to seek economic success, social acceptance, material comfort, and pleasure. Or we are told through advertising and endless commercials that we need not aim for anything higher than our own gratification. And so we immerse ourselves in distractions and trivialities. Here are some questions that can serve as a litmus test with regard to magnanimity. When faced with choices in life, do you tend to pursue what is most noble, what will benefit others most, even if it is very difficult? Or do you tend to shy away from things that push you out of your comfort zone? Do you shrink from attempting great things because you fear the risk, you fear failure, or you fear how much time and effort it's going to take? Do you tend to avoid taking on difficult endeavors? Well, God has given each of us certain gifts and abilities, and He has given each of us a certain mission in life. What will we do with the gifts God has entrusted to us? Will we bury our talents in the ground, or magnanimously use them for the service of others to the best of our abilities? A keen observer of the human condition says the following: when you explore boldly, when you voluntarily confront the unknown, you gather information and build your renewed self out of that information. Much of you is still nascent and will not be called forth by stasis. You have to take risks, venture out into the unknown. Otherwise you remain incomplete. And life is too hard for anyone incomplete. The person lacking in magnanimity suffers from a vice called pusillanimity, which means smallness of soul. Whereas the magnanimous person seeks what is best, even if it is difficult. The pusillanimous person shies away from noble, arduous tasks because they will demand a lot. They instead pursue the path of least resistance, opting for whatever option is easier. St. Thomas Aquinas notes that pusillanimity is one of the most perilous weaknesses we can acquire, because it makes a person withdraw from good things. When we develop a habit of shrinking from hard things, it is a sign that something deep in our soul is dying. When we habituate ourselves not to strain toward great things because they are difficult, we train ourselves to become comfortable with mediocrity. We begin to become stagnant, and that is the danger of pusillanimity. Mary, you are our guiding star, constantly illuminating our path. With your maternal care, make sure that we never settle for less than what your divine Son has in store for us. I thank you, my God, for the good resolutions, affections, and inspirations that you have communicated to me in this meditation. I ask your help in putting them into effect. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.